still faithful, my heart's still grateful. We say we trust God, but how many us really wait though? He made a way, but we want choices like make more. Put us through a trial to make us strong enough to face more. Everything is calculated, good moves and bad decisions. God will change it round and make it work out like body fitness. Do we really trust him? Look, I've been through it. I'm a witness. Sin has locked me up and I worship till I broke out that prison. We worried about the flight, but the plane has yet to take off. You think the Lord ain't got you, but he takes care of the stray dog. Took care of our biggest bill. Transgression is paid off, but many still blind, they can't see it. Ray Charles, one man killed all, saved all. One man on this mic telling folk Jesus wants to save y'all. Stress kills, get healed. Don't just call on any king, call on the one who owns it all, and then you ain't gotta worry about anything.
Everything that happens for my good, I'm only moving forward if you ain't, I think it should. I never knew I could, but now I know I could. My faith is in the Lord, he said he will, I knew he would. I don't worry about anything, so I don't worry about anything, so I don't worry about anything, so I don't worry about anything.
God's still speaking, we just don't listen. We've all been broken, we just don't see him fixing. Tough times have been good, I know you like he tripping, but that showed me who my friends was. Now I know you feel me. What seems bad can work out when you let him work out. Just trust him and not self. I know that you get churched out. Real faith is real simple, sometimes we overdo it. Nobody needs to know your business, your lifestyle will surely prove it. So take your mess and all your gossip, tell that to somebody else. I got my own issues and my own problems I've been trying to deal with by myself. My focus is that kingdom walk, moving mountains every time I talk. Preach his word around the earth, keep his word inside my heart. The devil mad cause I see him falling every time we Jesus talking. Answer God, he's always calling. Bounce to this like your name is Spalding. I just wanna see my peeps encouraged. Every race in every hood was Satan meant to seem so bad. God can turn it around for your good.
Everything that happens for my good, I'm only moving forward if you ain't, I think it should. I never knew I could, but now I know I could. My faith is in the Lord, he said he will, I knew he would. I don't worry about anything, so I don't worry about anything, so I don't worry about anything, so I don't worry about anything.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you are doing well. Listen, this is Kelvin Steele, Pastor Kelvin, coming to you from a pastor's perspective. I had to throw my glasses on just to floss on you for a minute. Bow! There we go. I hope you guys have had an outstanding day, and I'm super excited about the broadcast on tonight. I've got two guests in the back room, DeAndra and Carolyn. I'm going to bring them on in just a moment so we can have an outstanding discussion about eating to live. But as we get ready to do that, I need you to do me a favor. Go ahead for me, like and share. And if you're already in here, go into the comments section for me and tag 2 or 3 people. Join in on this discussion. You don't want to miss it. I promise you're going to enjoy it. So I'm going to bring my guests on in the room. Let's go ahead. We've got DeAndra on. We've got Carolyn on. Good evening, family. How are you?
Great.
Thank you.
I'm excited to have you guys on. Welcome to A Pastor's Perspective. I'm so glad to have you two on tonight. Thank you again for being here. And now I got to do my thing. I got to floss just a little bit. So we got DeAndra down there. Check her out. Boom, boom. Owner of VV Spot in Greenville, South Carolina. And then we have Carolyn, all the way from Illinois, a health and wellness enthusiast and just all around expert on whatever she puts her mind to. So I'm excited to have you guys on tonight. How are you feeling?
Great.
Yeah. Now, so we're going to get past one word responses in just a minute. We're going to get ready. Get ready to jump in. Once again, thank you all for joining into A Pastor's Perspective. Make sure you share this out for me. Tag a friend. Let them know we're on the air. You don't want to miss the discussion we're having tonight in regards to eating to live. So I'm going to start out since DeAndra, you're on my right from my screen, and Carolyn, you're going to start. You're right below me. DeAndra, do me a favor. Take a couple moments. Introduce yourself to everybody. Let them know who you are. Give just a little bit of background. Sis, after DeAndra finishes, would you do me the pleasure of doing the same thing?
Sure thing. As you stated, I'm the owner of VV Spot, and that stands for Vegan Vegetarian Spot. We promote plant-based options all across the upstate via food tours. Of course, with COVID, we're not doing that right now. But still, we're able to educate others by being a resource online to showcase the places that people can find delicious plant-based options. And then we also offer health consultations to assist people in any type of behavior change that they like. My background is in health promotion, education, and behavior. I have my master's degree in public health, and I've been in the field for close to a decade. So I absolutely love working with people and trying to figure out ways that we can improve our overall health and wellness.
Awesome. So, DeAndra, right before Sis gets on, I have some information down below. If you all would just take a moment to go through, we have all of DeAndra's information, owner VV Spot LLC, in the wonderful upstate of South Carolina by way of Greenville. You can reach her at info@vvspot.com, and you also have her website information below. I would tell you she is super passionate about this, and any information that you need, if she doesn't have, I promise you she'll find it for you. So, just wanted to shout out the business. Sis.
That's me. Hi, I am so excited to be here. My name is Carolyn. I am a mother of two. I'm a wife, and I would categorize myself as a wellness enthusiast. Over the past 25 years, I have kind of educated myself in the benefits of basically wellness and health, and tried to incorporate tools within my life and my family life to help us sustain that. I enjoy talking about wellness. I enjoy seeing people live their best life, and sharing information with them that would allow them to do that. And so through my own research and gathering and watching and learning, I've been able to apply that knowledge to my life.
Awesome. Thank you both for being on. You have a wealth of information that I know we're going to try to get through tonight and share just as much as we can. So, if you guys are okay, can I go ahead and share with the people how this particular podcast came together?
Sure.
So, I'm a pastor at the King's Worship Center in Simpsonville, South Carolina. Shout out King's Worship Center family, the place where miracles happen. Shameless plug. We every quarter we do a fast. We do a fast. And for any of you that are not familiar, just abstaining from food or some type of sacrifice. So this year we started off our fasting with a Daniel's fast, And so I wanted to give you just some background on that, not a lot. With the Daniel's fast, it comes from the book of Daniel, chapter 10, verses 2 through 3. And basically, Daniel gave up some specific foods and he ate specific foods. So within the Daniel's fast, it was fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, nuts, seeds, water only. Something that I really don't like, no matter how you cook it, is quinoa. You can put great, right? So things like that, chickpeas, lentils, alfalfa, clover beans, soy, and basically we gave up meat, dairy, sugar, the things that, I don't know another way to say it without sounding sarcastic, the things that really taste good, your sugars, your candies, your chips, and all of those things. Well, oddly enough, typically when you fast, it's behind a spiritual quest, right? It's a pastor's perspective. So behind a spiritual quest, seeking God in prayer and different things. But I got some unintended consequences through that fast, family. So weeks prior, months prior, back aching, legs hurting, feet hurting, waking up very lethargic and achy, feeling tense, not thinking and processing as I know I could. And literally, Carolyn and DeAndra, 2 to 3 days after being on this fast, I was waking up and my body wasn't hurting. I was waking up, I was feeling more energized. And keep in mind, I hadn't been taking any vitamins as I should. I just given up meat. I just given up dairy. I just given up chips. And within 3 days, and drinking a ton of water. And another discovery that I had is that I was dehydrated. And I was drinking tea by the gallons, lemonade by the gallons. I'm not a huge soda drinker, but if I do, shout out to Dr. Pepper, my fizzy bubbly, right? Dr. Pep, if you see this, I'm gonna need you to be a sponsor of this broadcast, this podcast. But I found that my body began to feel better. Now, at the end of the 21 days, I'm already a regular guy, but I became more regular, more energy, fewer aches, fewer pains. I'm in my 40s, so I know some changes come with it, but I don't believe all of the things that I was feeling have to be a part of my age. And so, in retrospect, after coming off of the fast, you guys, and really thinking about how I felt, and for all of you that are coming on and Harding, thank you so much for joining a pastor's perspective tonight. I see you out there. Thank you. My wife just put, we love quinoa. No, we don't love quinoa. But anyway, what I discovered was, in thinking about the people that I pastor, and as I'm getting older, I don't want to have to pray for things that we can control. Right. And I didn't bring you two on to be the biblical scholars tonight. Right. But I'm just sharing my journey. So I'm not taking you to church or any of that. But as a pastor, I pray for a lot of things. I see a lot of things, and just discovering just from a 21-day fast that we actually have the control or more control over how we're feeling than what we realize. So I just said a whole lot. So I'm going to throw that out there. When you hear that type of testimonial, DeAndra, what are your initial thoughts? And then Carolyn, I'd love you to chime in after DeAndra.
Yeah. So with your body, it's always working to make the best you, in a sense. So when you end up having dairy or some fat heavy meats, it's working to process that so it can quickly get it out and it can get back to focusing on making the better you. So with the Daniel diet, you were focusing on getting your nutrients, your minerals, all the things that your body needs so that it can flow properly, not having any imbalances. And, that's why, some inflammation reduced and you just felt better overall. So, I mean, it's one of those things just like, yeah, that happens with a plant-based diet.
I know, like one of the things that, like most vegans or plant-based people think of, like, okay, well, yeah, this is something that automatically happens. But from Kelvin's perspective, it wasn't something that he had experienced before, right? Like it took him actually having to go through that fasting period and see the benefits of the foods that were outlined within that diet and how his body actually reacted to them. I think one of the things that you just said, Kelvin, that resonated with me the most is control. We as humans have control over our bodies, over the things that we put into our bodies, over the decisions that we make about how our life is going to be, because food is such a major, or nutrition and diet, or what we eat is such a major portion of how we actually get to decide how we're going to show up in the world, whether it be being focused, not experiencing lethargicism, or being feeling good, not experiencing body aches, being able to basically be a productive human in the times that we need to be productive. So yeah, it's no surprise to me as someone who eats a plant-based diet that you experienced all those wonderful things.
So about a week or so after, maybe a couple days, I don't know if it's that long, I called Carolyn. I think we had a long conversation about that. And she's like, yeah, the inflammation and all of this and all of that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So how does that fit into my whole diet plan of steaks? Because I'm a huge meat eater. I love it. But even after slowly beginning to eat meat again, I find that I cannot eat the same amount of portions that I did initially before I went on to the diet. Is that also an impact of things like that when you look at going into a plant-based diet? Now, so let me do this. Let me add a semicolon there. So DeAndra, I'm hungrier through the day, but I can't eat as much as I normally would at night. So for an example, I went last week and I had a prime rib. Hadn't had one in almost a month. Had a prime rib, Carolyn, and I felt like I was about to explode, literally. So I'm assuming those are some of the byproducts of the changed behavior with how I'm eating.
And you've been able to sustain your water intake, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So I think that's also heavily influential in you know, not being able to consume as much as you used to. So, you know, staying hydrated is very important with just overall in any diet, you know, not just plant-based diet, but just overall for your own health and wellness.
Mhm.
But then also your body is just, you know, you're more cognizant of, or even you're subconsciously cognizant of it, because even though you're just like, I really want this, like I'm
Right.
having it, but I can't eat as much anymore. So it's recognizing when to stop, you
Mhm.
know, when it feels, you know, it's satisfied. And, you know, it recognizes what you're putting into your body and the nutrients that you're getting out of it. Because even though you're having a prime rib or something or a steak, like it still does supply your body with nutrients. You know,
Right.
it does help your body in some sorts of way, but then also negatively impacts at the same time.
Right.
But at least now with the plant-based diet that you started off with, it is influencing your current state, you know, subconsciously.
Gotcha. Sis, what are your thoughts?
I feel like part of it is also awareness, because I think you're, like DeAndra said, subconsciously being aware that the foods that you are consuming that are different from this diet that you partook in the past, which you felt so good, so great. Subconsciously, you're probably thinking, well, I know I should not be eating
Mhm.
this because
Mhm.
I know it may make me feel a certain type of way. So that
Yeah.
energy is in your body, and it's sending these signals to your brain that, okay, I might not be needing to eat this.
Mhm.
But with regards to just wanting to eat more and being hungry,
Mhm.
um, I think it has a lot to do with food. Like, because I can eat like 1,200, or let's say for average meal, I can eat 600 calories of fruits and vegetables and whole grains and nuts and legumes
Mhm.
and all of these root vegetables, and then eat 600 calories of dairy, macaroni and cheese, maybe
Mhm.
some meat, something like that. And it's going to fill your stomach up differently.
Right.
You're not going to be able to sustain yourself as long with more heavily protein meats
Right.
and dairy as you would with whole grains and natural foods. For example, I eat oatmeal, I fast, and I eat oatmeal
Mhm.
every day around 12 o'clock. Most of the time, I'm not hungry at dinner time,
Yeah.
which I have to eat before 8 o'clock. But so
Wow.
I try to eat around 7 o'clock. So my oatmeal that I pretty much make at 12 o'clock in the morning, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of, it's a big bowl of oatmeal. Um, it sustains me for that long. I usually eat something the middle of the day because I feel like I need to eat something. It's not
Mhm.
particularly because I'm hungry, and I'll usually have a smoothie and I'll load some good stuff in it or something like that. But yeah, I believe that subconsciously your brain is sending signals like, hey, you don't need to be eating this. And so you kind of back away, and you may not eat as much as you want, or
Mhm.
you may feel some type of way about eating what you're eating. And so that may cause you to be a little bit hungry throughout the day because you may not have consumed as much as you probably wanted to because of these signals. But yeah.
So I've also discovered, and you can, Kelvin, where have you been? Even with, because I would say charismatic, an active preacher. So I'm going to get into it. I'm going to teach, but by the time I'm finished, I'm going to look like I've been sweating, right, or swimming. Same way at work. I'm walking, I'm moving all day. I'm nowhere near as tired after a 10-hour, 11-hour day of work. I'm not as frustrated mentally, and I don't know, I have no science to back up. I don't how what I'm eating or how I've changed or what behaviors I've changed, how I'm eating is impacting me psychologically. I just know I'm thinking more clearly. I know I'm feeling better. I know I'm no longer dehydrated. And you guys may laugh at this, and I'm not trying to be gross, but I watched the show, and it's called, and yes, I still love the Lord. It's called Naked and Afraid. And on the show Naked and Afraid, what they do, these people go on an island for 21 days, and they have to live off of the land. And so within about 4 or 5 hours, this one person was put on a desert. And about 4 or 5 hours, she was sweating. And she says, I know I'm dehydrated because of my urine color. And I didn't even realize. Listen, this stuff, you'd be surprised at people that don't even realize you may drink a gallon of tea, but you're still dehydrated. You can drink a gallon of high fructose corn syrup, cran grape ocean spray, which I love, with a ginger ale with 3 ice cubes and cashews. I just thought I'd throw that out there, and still not realize I was dehydrated. But now I feel better. I'm thinking better. I've got more energy. Like right now, it's been a long day. And in my mind, I know I should be unwinding, but I'm not tired. I'm not tired.
And I think the misconception is that most people feel like fluids hydrate them
Mm-hmm.
because it's a liquid, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it contains a whole bunch of bad stuff, then it's not going to benefit your body. So we need those natural fluids. And what are natural fluids? It's water.
Mm-hmm.
It's coconut water.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that hydrate us most. They're vegetables that are high in water content, like cucumbers, like
Mm-hmm.
lettuces, like berries, things of that nature. So it's important to make sure that if you do consume your high fructose corn syrup, cranberry juice with ginger ale and some ice cubes, that you also consume, and something to balance that out.
Right.
Some extra water that day, because that's otherwise, you will be like, what is it, naked and afraid, where you'll be able to identify that, something is actually happening in my body.
And I can't remember what study it's from, but it's like a majority of Americans before noon are dehydrated.
Wow.
So it's just like, it's all of us. We need to make sure we're getting an adequate amount of water in our bodies. And then with you saying having more energy, throughout the day and not getting tired, all of that is in fact influenced by the nutrients you're putting into your body, all the fresh, whole foods, plant-based items that you're putting into your body versus the beef or chicken that ends up adding some cholesterol, adding some unsaturated fats, and your body's still trying to make sure the blood flow can go through properly.
Wow.
Versus now, all of this is like, I have space, I can flow properly now.
Freedom, yeah, your blood.
So you're able to get the oxygen throughout your body the way it needs to, and perform the best that you can.
So what I did was, we're going to skip around just a little bit. So I know we kind of talked, but I put down on the bottom here how to create a balanced vegan plate. So I want to go into 2 conversations really quickly. So tell me, because up until recently, I thought plant-based was the same as vegan. And I don't want to spend a whole lot of time dealing with the vegan side of things. But I do want, if you guys could take maybe a couple minutes, is there, for those of us that are on tonight, there may be new, and I want you guys that are coming on, stay tuned, don't jump off. I know you're used to a pastor's perspective. We're talking about all kinds of different things and church related, but listen, it doesn't matter if you're going to church, if you're praying for a miracle and all you have to do is change your diet. So I want you all that are coming on, share this out. Because we need to know what we need to know in order to be better and live better and be healthier. So if you guys could help me out, what is the difference between plant-based and vegan?
Okay, I'll try to be as brief as possible, and Carolyn, feel free to jump in anytime. Okay, plant-based is eating just primarily plants, excluding animals. But then you can still have some honey in there. But vegan is the complete absence of animals, animal byproducts, and same for plant-based, no animal byproducts. But it also has a little piece of, ethicalism or something in it. Because, like, for example, palm oil's not vegan, you get to cutting down so many trees. So it's kind of like that. Carolyn, feel free to go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So my approach is that every type of ism has levels to it, right? So when we think of vegetarians or plant-based, we think of possibly vegetarians, flexitarians, pescatarians, but vegans are people who basically do, like DeAndra said, we do not eat meat. We do not eat anything that is consumed or derived from an animal or a muscle that has a nervous system. So
Okay.
when you think about like clams, oysters, like they don't necessarily have brains and a face, but they do have a nervous system. So vegans don't consume anything like that. But plant-based is, I would consider vegan is a part of being a plant-based eater, because it consume, you consume predominantly plants, all vegetables. But for people who aren't really encouraged to, go after that lifestyle, there is a subsection of plant-based eaters called vegetarians, and
Okay.
a subsection of plant-based eaters called flexitarians and pescatarians. And it just depends on your what you want to eat, because those diets, the vegetarian, the flexitarians, and the pescatarians, are
Wow.
predominantly plant-based diets, but they have a little bit of meat, a little bit of dairy, a little bit of seafood, depending on which one you actually consume.
Okay. So I hope that gave you all out there a little bit more insight. So simply because you are a vegetarian does not necessarily mean you are a vegan. And for the churchy folk out there that are like me that fall into a category of Leviticus 11 believers. So you guys let me kind of talk to my church folk out there. Those are the ones, we don't eat the pork, we don't eat, we don't eat shellfish and all of those things. But within, I think I heard Carolyn say this correctly, there's a subset called pescatarians. And those are the individuals that just eat seafood and vegetables, right? So I'm not going to dig any deeper than, I'm going to leave that where it is. But I did want to make sure we try to draw a clear delineation between what it means to be a vegan and what it means to be a vegetarian. And so I don't consider myself a vegetarian just yet, because I fell right back hard on a hamburger and a steak the other day. But I want to show something below. So when we talk about how to create a balanced vegan plate, I don't want the word vegan to throw anyone off. Okay. So, guys, we talked about this a little bit the last time we were together, and I know I'm kind of going from the bottom to the top. But if you all could talk to me, if I were someone that just experienced a 21-day total turnaround in how I'm feeling, in my body, how I'm thinking, how do I then begin to make that transition to eat better so I can continue to feel better? And I want to get into your personal journeys here in just a moment. But what does that look like, Carol? And I'll start with you, and then DeAndra, I'll end with you on that one.
For me personally, it's figuring out or deciding or acknowledging what your why is. I mean, I feel like anytime you choose to embark on something that's completely different than what you have been doing most of your life, you need a motivation factor to continue to encourage you to continue on that path. For you, Kelvin, it could be, just feeling good. I felt good. My body didn't ache. And so that could be your why. For me first, that's the main thing. And I'm sorry, I forgot the question.
Okay, so I was asking, so then how do I then begin to build a plan, or what does a balanced plate look like for you? So I'm going to ask you guys in a minute about your transition and what led you to where you are now. I'm kind of skipping just a little bit, but what does a plate look like for someone who's trying to make a transition, but still kind of falls into the category of someone like me. I want to do better. I'm enjoying how I feel. What does that plate look like to me? How do
Yes.
how do I put that plate together?
So for what I would suggest is to start with the vegetables and the fruit that you like. Start
Okay.
with the foods you like. If you enjoy collard greens, then make yourself a whole bunch of collard greens.
With hot
But
sauce?
with hot sauce, but try to make it without meat. There are a lot of seasonings because I
Yeah.
know in the Black community we
Talk about it.
add turkey and hog and all kinds of stuff
Oh yeah.
to our vegetables.
If
And
the next day the collard greens was not gelatinous, they weren't good, right?
right. But there are a lot of herbs, a lot of seasonings that you can actually add to your collard greens to create a very good taste.
Hmm.
And my husband is not a plant-based eater. He enjoys his meat religiously, and
Hmm.
he enjoys my collard greens.
Okay.
So I think my advice would be to start with what you like, and then put as much of it that you can consume on your plate
Mhm.
first, and then fill it in with the things that you aren't like you're trying to move away from. So if you enjoy collard greens, load your plate up with collard greens. If
Mhm.
you enjoy black eyed peas, load your plate up with black eyed peas, and then add yourself a slice of a piece of chicken on the side, and then and try to eat those vegetables and legumes first, and
Right.
then eat your meat.
Okay. You also on that right before you jump in, Miss DeAndra, Brother Davis said he enjoyed that quote. Acknowledge what your why is. That's good, and I think that's something you'll probably tune into just in a moment with DeAndra when we go back to asking about the whys of why we are that we are. But acknowledge why we're doing what we're doing. DeAndra, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah. So just piggybacking off of Caroline, or sorry, Carolyn, the why is very important. You know, it could be, I want to see my child graduate. I want to be able to walk around the track. You know, I want to be able to do this and that. And then moving on from that, creating a plan
Mm,
yourself is very important. And it could be, you know, okay, let me start off by putting all the vegetables that I like. You know, it could be just simply, okay, drinking more water, you know, seeing that my intake is low already. I need to first get hydrated. And then my next step after that is to incorporate more cruciferous vegetables, you know, broccoli or something like that, that will still provide a lot of protein. It could also be, you know, a lot of people notice that they're low on, you know, they're not eating an adequate amount of healthy protein when they switch to the plant-based diet, because I know that's like one of the big things, like, oh, you're not getting a lot of protein. But in fact, you just need to be more cognizant of what you're consuming, you
mhm.
know, because over time, you're just like, okay, I just need to have fruits and vegetables and completely forget about legumes and, you know, all the other things that will benefit your body. So, you know, using resources like even myplate.gov, that's what, you know, we base some of our information off of. It is still a good resource, you know, just modify the protein source, you
Mhm.
know, and then skip out on the dairy there. But ultimately creating a plan, and then it's okay if you mess up, you know, try to figure out, okay, when you're creating your plan, what barriers do I think are going to come in the way? I know we have Thanksgiving coming up.
That's right.
Maybe I should have a snack, or, you know, I know we're going to go to the movies or something, sneak in some of your popcorn that you make at home, you know. But I guess we don't have to worry about that with COVID times right now.
Right.
But, you know, just try to fully think through everything in your plan, and then just try to roll with it. And like I said, if you mess up, then quickly try to figure out, okay, next time I won't do that. I'll do this.
Right. That's right. I would just like to say to a lot of us that are out there, to the Black community, to the Black church at large, this is information that we really need to think about, because a lot of us grew up like my wife typed the fat back, the pork chops, and I still occasionally, even though I haven't had pork in years, I still have a craving occasionally. But after I found out biblically, which was my impetus for changing, I then began to find out what it did to the body, and I just didn't want to be on blood pressure medicine. I didn't want to be on cholesterol medicine. And in my late 30s, my doctor tried, listen to what I say, he tried to put me on it because of my blood pressure, my cholesterol, headaches, all sorts of things. And I took it out completely out of my diet. And I saw an immediate change. And then once again, going into the Daniel's fast, just abstaining from, I didn't realize, because I haven't had whole milk in years. We do almond milk, but I love eggs. I can't tell you I don't, but getting rid of the dairy, the butter, the sour cream, a lot of the indigestion issues gone, the aches and pains gone. It's just a whole lot of things we really need to consider. And if we just do these things one step at a time, the things that we are believing God for in the form of a miracle, He's already given us the miracle in the form of our diet. And I just like to put that out there. Also, just to shout this out, DeAndra gave us myplate.gov, but also if you want to see how to put a plate together, you'll see at the bottom there. We're going to try to give you as many resources. vvspot.com, how to create a balanced vegan plate. You can reach out to Carolyn. I'm certain she can give you some information of different places that you can go to. So sis, if you have some when we get to the end that you don't want to share, I'll give you that space to share that information. For me, one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight also was I saw yes, brother AC, no butter. So let's pause right there. So Carol and DeAndra, what is a good substitute for butter?
I was just about to say, there are so many vegan substitutes. I wouldn't necessarily say vegan. I'm going to say vegan. I'm going to say plant-based substitutes for the foods that we already eat. I was looking at the comments and I saw someone post a comment saying that they loved cheese, like cheese. And to be honest, cheese was one of the things that I struggled with when I first decided to transition over to a plant-based diet.
I still struggle with cheese.
Yeah, like cheese is, oh my God, like, it's one of those things where it's just like, it just makes everything better, right?
If you could have seen your eyes, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's like, ooh, because it's gooey, it's addictive, and it's, and like I said, our foods in our community are derived off of those items. But there's plant-based butters. My husband didn't know until recently that Country Crock, there's a version of Country Crock that's accidentally vegan. Oreos are vegan. They have vegan cheese or plant-based cheese. They have creams, like if you're looking for sour cream. A lot of, like, for me, when I'm looking to add sour cream to like my nachos or my tacos or whatever the case may be, I use yogurt. And believe it or not, Greek yogurt, for those of you that aren't vegetarians or plant-based eaters, that is a better substitute than sour cream. So definitely try to look for other things that you probably already use that could actually make the food taste the same. I, as a plant-based eater, I currently don't really like a lot of vegan cheese or plant-based cheese that's out there, so I make my own. I use cashews to make my cheese, and I add it to my pizzas. I add it to my tacos. I also can make a roux, like for my lasagna, with flour and vegan butter and a stock that I make. So it's a ton of information out there, a ton of different ways that you can find out how to make the items that you love plant-based.
And I do want to add that you still want to limit these things with the plant-based diet. So, just like she said, we have you can find plant-based anything now, to your meats, to beefless crumbles and chickenless chicken, to your plant-based butters and mayonnaise and things like that. And so though it will
Is it Miracle Whip vegan?
does Miracle Whip
Not
have
at
a
all.
vegan version? I use Veganase. I don't know.
I use Veganase too.
Nicole bought the Veganase, but it just doesn't have the tangy zip of Miracle Whip. I'm trying to get there. You guys are helping me tonight. I'm sorry, DeAndra. Go continue.
But truly, when you're still look at the back of those items, okay? And you can even, while you're at the store, compare them. You'll see that some will still have some saturated fat, and others will not. So you really need to look at the ingredients and look at the nutrition labels before you go to purchase any of these items, and still just use a little bit. You don't want to use too much. I mean, yes, your body needs the macronutrients, your protein, fats, and carbs. But just let's not add too many fats to that where we go overboard.
Awesome. Thank you guys for that. So one of the things on my journey early on, even before the 21-day fast, there was a show that I'd seen. We're calling out so many different things. And if any of these people hear us, I hope they come and support our businesses financially as sponsors. But I was on Netflix and I was watching a show called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Half Dead. On Fat, Sick, and Nearly Half Dead, there was a guy that was a CEO of some company overseas, and his cholesterol was awful, his blood pressure, just all kinds of different things. And he came and he bought a juicer. And I can't recall, if anyone has seen this, you will have to help me. I can't recall if it was 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days, but however long it was, he didn't do anything but juice his food. So it was fruits and vegetables for however long it was, 30, 60, or 90 days. And at the end of that, he looked like a totally different person. He said he felt better. It provoked me to the degree that I went out and bought that juicer, and I did that for a while. And my goal was I wanted to feel better, but I also wanted my skin to look like your skin, DeAndra and Carolyn, where it's shiny, it's rich, it's balanced. You two just look healthy. In the church, we would say, somebody, you look like the Holy Ghost. Y'all two just look like you do what you say you do. Does that make sense? You look like you say that you
Well,
do.
thank you.
So I'll start with you, DeAndra, and you guys may see me black out for a moment. Please keep on talking. Talk to us a moment, DeAndra, about your journey with how you're eating and what kind of provoked you. Lady Nicole just said, let's talk about their hair. So, it's you look like what you talk about, right? Absolutely. And I hope you guys know that you look like what you talk about. You just look healthy. Your skin looks good. I've seen you both and you just look great, right? So, but talk to me, DeAndra, for a little bit about your journey, how you ended up on that path. And then once you finish, Carolyn, would you take a few moments and talk about your journey, and then I'll pick back up from there.
So honestly, I'm curious. I really want to look this up to see how many people transitioned to a plant-based or vegan diet in 2017, because that's when What the Health came out.
Right.
And that's basically what pulled the trigger and did it for me. So after watching the movie and learning about, how the American Heart Association and Diabetes Association, they're getting money funneled through, these meat industries and, dairy things. And I was a health coach at that time too. So I was just like, oh my goodness, we use these these things as evidence-based guidelines, and it's just not true, And so I transitioned right then and there that same night that I watched it. And honestly, it was very confusing at first because I was just like, I don't know what to eat, even though I come from a health promotion background. It was just like, okay, like I still want to eat a little bit of, my little cheat things of gummy bears, but then I learned gelatin's not vegan, and I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? But honestly, within a month of my transition, I had to go get my annual done. with my physician. And when I look back at my A1C and my lipid panel, I mean, honestly, my lipid panel used to always just look great. But I mean, it was even better than ever. So, just seeing that immediate change in my numbers, I was just like, oh yeah, I'm sticking with this thing. And I immediately looked up, how to create a healthy plate and how to, consume all that I need, and, take the necessary supplements that I need. That's essentially how VV Spot started, because my family wanted to go out to eat and they're just like, Dee, where can we take you now that you're vegan? And I'm like, take me
Sound
anywhere.
familiar, Carolyn?
Figure it out. And that's why VV Spot's around, because you can't really eat at many places, and we're trying to make some changes to make sure you can eat everywhere, and be that resource so you can see, okay, I can eat at this place and this place with my friends.
That's right. So I'm gonna post that again for those of you that are just coming on. Thank you for coming on to A Pastor's Perspective with us tonight. If you're just coming in, please take a moment and share. We're about halfway through our conversation tonight about eating to live. I did just want to take a moment with DeAndra and shout out her business in the upstate of South Carolina, the VV Spot. So please make sure you go to her website, get that information. Carolyn will have some information that she'll want to share with us tonight towards the end, about any places or things within Illinois that she's found that she frequents. Even when you came down to South Carolina, I was joking with her a moment ago, DeAndra. I can't remember if it was for Nicole's birthday or if it was for we were just downtown trying to figure out what to eat. And we're like, okay, Carolyn, what are you going to do? We're going to get oxtails and some of this. What are you going to do? So, with that being said, sis, go ahead and talk to us about your journey.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I was like, you guys don't worry about us. We'll find us something somewhere. And we did. So all my life I've been health conscious, I would say. Typically, I play sports in high school, I play sports in college. Today I continue to work out. I make sure I try to, get some sort of moderate level activity in about 4 to 5 days a week. I try to make sure that I'm consistent. Well, I was raised eating meat, probably like most of us on this call. I never had any experience with anything outside of that. So naturally, when I left home, I began to make the same meals for my family that my mom made for me. And so after a while, my family...
You miss that cooking sometimes too.
Yes. After a while, I noticed that over time, my kids and my husband and my family began to develop what's known as foodborne illnesses, the high cholesterol, the diabetes, the high blood pressure, things like, of course, heart disease, heart problems, kidney failures, things like that. So in 2017, as DeAndra stated,
what the hell?
I too watched What the Hell. If you don't take anything from this podcast, you might want to take the fact that you might want to go and look at What the Hell just to get some information. And like she said, it was just a very eye-opening experience, learning how our food is processed here in the United States and how companies or corporations or foundations who are meant to protect us and give us good information don't necessarily provide us with the best information. And so having a mother who had suffered from these illnesses, a father who had cancer. At the time I watched this movie, my daughter was considered obese. My husband was showing early signs of disease. We made the decision to basically change overnight. Well, I made the decision that I would no longer cook foods and put into my body that were meat or that were animal based, so to speak. and one of the other things that kind of encouraged me that was like, okay, I was a mother to 2 children, one who was suffering from a disease where she couldn't breathe. And at the time, she was playing soccer.
Right.
And those of us who know soccer requires you to run for pretty much 90 minutes straight.
Right.
And she was on a travel team at the time and was amazing at soccer. She was good at soccer. She enjoyed playing soccer, but it impeded her ability to be able to reach a certain level because she couldn't run for a long period of time. So she would have to leave the field to take a drag on her inhaler and then try to recover and then go in. So as a parent to her, and especially with her being a girl, her being self-conscious about weight, her not, being able to perform, I felt that it was probably the best decision for both of us. And so once we changed and we decided to commit to a plant-based lifestyle, the night after we watched What the Health, it was about 3 months after us being consistent with plant-based eating that my daughter no longer had to use an inhaler.
Wow.
She was completely rid of her inhaler. She was able to stay on the field longer. She was able to build up the functions of her lungs. Today, she plays college soccer. She is a captain of her team, and she plays the entire 90 minutes of the game.
Wow.
So that's
And her skin is flawless.
and her skin. Oh yes, I don't know where she gets that from, but yes, she has beautiful skin. But yeah, and as far as my husband, he was a little overweight. He's not overweight anymore. As I mentioned, he's not a plant-based eater, but he has better control over his foodborne illnesses. And he knows that if if he makes some changes, he can see even more progress in that area. So for me, that's been my why. That's been what motivated me to continue on this lifestyle. And the fact that I feel good. Like I don't miss anything. I'm not deprived. I'm not, DeAndra was talking about her numbers with regards to like her A1C and her
lipid panel.
Lipid panel. That's exactly what it's called. My biometric screens for me have always been decent because I was an athlete, right? So I felt like the fact that I was working out, I was burning off most of those things that probably would have laid dormant in my body had I not been burning it off. But me too, when I changed over to a plant-based diet, my numbers got even better.
Wow.
And I mean, I remember talking to the nurse as she reviewed my biometric screen, which is a screen that we take at work. She was like, I think you're one of the healthiest people that I've ever seen. And to have someone in the medical profession actually tell
It's
you
like,
that, it's like, I know what I'm supposed to do. Yeah, so a lot of people in our community, we feel as though our foodborne diseases are hereditary, right? Our mom had diabetes, so we're going to have diabetes. Our dad had heart disease, we're going to have heart disease. I believe that that's not 100% true.
Okay.
I believe that we have control. What's hereditary is the way that we prepare our foods.
Preach, Carolyn.
And make our foods. So what I had learned and taken from my mom and applied to my family, I was then seeing the problems that it was causing in my family and my husband, And so those traditions are things that are one of the things that we need to try to move away from, so that we can live longer, happy, healthier lives. I mean, and another thing that motivated me, like I had a grandmother that died from dementia. And not to say that dementia is associated with plant-based eating, because I have heard various arguments as to whether or not it can contribute, help, I don't know. But I wanted to be able to live a sustainable life. I have
Hmm.
kids. I want grandkids. I want to be able to play with my great grandkids. I want to
Hmm.
be able to walk. I want to be
Hmm.
able to talk and communicate. I don't want anyone to care for me when I get old. I just want to die in my sleep when I'm old, like 100 years old. So that's what I want, and so that too was an encouragement for me.
I want to, because we've picked up and we've got a lot of good comments, and some of you, you may hear me use churchy phraseology, which I am going for the next few moments because it's still a pastor's perspective, but I want this to appeal to everyone. And I want you all to hear what Carolyn and DeAndra have said, because what they're talking about in church language is what we would call a generational curse. But she took authority through information to change her world, right? And so we believe God gives us knowledge, ability to be able to do these things. And so not wanting to be sick, not wanting to be fat, sick, nearly half dead, not wanting to have high blood pressure, wanting to feel better. And to my churchy folk, that means we don't have to run to the altar for things we have control over. It's called discipline and wanting to feel better. For me, years ago, I did not want to be on blood pressure medicine, DeAndra. I took that medicine once or twice and took the cholesterol, and as the things the way it made me feel and the things that it limited me in doing. And I didn't want to feel that way. So I knew that I had to make changes. Now, I'm nowhere near where you guys are, but I feel better that I've had what some would call an aha moment just from these 21 days that have really provoked me to want to get with people that are doing this, that are doing the research and are living what they believe. And we can see it. And to hear that your daughter, my niece, Niecy Pooh, shout out Reagan, is feeling better off of the nebulizer. Joshua suffered with asthma, gone, right? And so these are lots of different things that we can talk about. And even listening to you, Carolyn, I could hear the emotion even in your voice as you begin to reflect back on what your family went through and those challenges. And so I think between the emotion and the information, or the emotion that caused you to get the information, or the information that provoked you to not ever want to have to go through some of the things that you hear, whatever that journey looks like, I want to just say, as a pastor, I don't want any of you to be sick with things that you have some control over. You have self-control, and then all we have to do is implement some disciplines and take the information from our sisters here today that are telling you this stuff works and there's data to back it up.
Mhm.
So I'm motivated to, because I don't want to see, as the people that God has given me responsibility as a pastor to watch over, DeAndra, I don't want to have to pray that God lowers their blood pressure when they can just take the fat back out of their collard greens and learn how to season it better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just factually, did you all have anything you wanted to add to that before I moved on? Or
I quickly wanted to add too about my two daughters. So
Mhm.
they were 3 and 5 when I transitioned. And those are still like the ear infection ages. And even though they're not fully plant-based, they have a predominant plant-based diet, but I
Mhm.
said no dairy whatsoever. Like, we're
Mhm.
not having that at
Right.
all. And just that, I believe, truly influenced, I mean, even studies show that,
Mhm.
reducing or even just completely taking out dairy, helps to reduce inflammation. So, I mean, honestly, just making even subtle changes like just taking out dairy, that can strongly influence your overall health and wellness.
Did
Awesome.
Oh yes, dairy, cheese, milk. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it studies have shown that it builds up the mucus in your body, and
Mhm.
disease and infections hold they grab a hold to that mucus, and it carries itself throughout your body. So if you another point with regards to what not only what the health watching what the health we, as a takeaway, but another takeaway is definitely that dairy, trying to limit that as much as possible.
I think that why you guys are saying it. So try to eliminate dairy out of our diet as much as possible. That's awesome. My wife posted a question. Shout out Carmel Delight. Um, Sorry, guys, I got distracted. She had a question. The question that she had, Carolyn and DeAndra, was, since Carolyn and DeAndra are both athletes, what would they say to an athlete who feels they need protein from meats? So whoever wants to jump on that first, I'll put that out there to you guys. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Whoever wants to jump on that first.
Oh, well, like, okay, even though the iron content is a little bit different with the non-heme and heme protein, overall, just getting the intake that you need will make a difference. So it depends on what type of athlete, first off. If you're an endurance athlete, you clearly don't need as much protein as, a strength training athlete, And so I honestly believe that they should see a nutritionist or, a dietitian so that they can fully get a good scope of their diet. Because, I mean, yeah, when I was in college, oh my gosh, I did not, I was like, vegan what? Like I ate decent. Okay. And, I always packed on like, okay, give me the deli meat, and because that's healthy, but now we know that's a carcinogen,
Wow.
it's pretty much like tobacco.
Wow.
So honestly, it's, when you're exercising, especially athletes, like they think that that's going to be it. Like, oh, as long as I'm working out, especially like collegiate D2, I was D2 and under, you're definitely just like, hey, I can still eat McDonald's and still be okay.
That's right.
But really, I think it's just the youth that's in you that helps you out a lot. But just getting the, whatever you need compared to your weight, because like for an average person, it's like 0.8 grams per pound. That's what you need to consume. And then overall for athletes, it'll be great if you're consistent with your protein throughout the day versus like having 10 grams here, 50 grams here, and then 10 grams there. That's not going to help with your muscle protein synthesis. But honestly, they just need to pay attention to what they're consuming and still making sure they're getting the nutrients that they need, aside from the macronutrients like protein.
Carolyn, did you want to add anything?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
What I would say is there are plenty of plant-based eating athletes. Some of the strongest men and women in the world are plant-based, and you can Google these individuals.
Serena Williams.
They are out there. So if you look at a person like Serena Williams, your first thought isn't that she's protein deficient, right?
Right.
She has a body for goals, like for most women out here. But as far as foods in itself, there are plenty of plant-based foods that have a higher protein per gram than most meats, like most 4-ounce portions of meats.
Wow.
One of the ones being broccoli, lentils, any type of beans, like
edamame.
Black edamame.
Ooh, love edamame.
Talk about black beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, quinoa, that thing that you don't like, Kelvin. It's high in protein.
Even with gravy is nasty.
Well, you eat it with gravy.
I'll try it. I try to put brown gravy.
Another thing that's plant-based that's very high in protein is tempeh. Tempeh is basically soybeans that basically have been mashed together to create a block. A lot of people, they saute it. They can make tempeh plant-based ribs out of them. You can fry it. You can coat it and stuff and put it on a sandwich. And we don't use gravy on quinoa. But yeah, so there are plenty of foods that would satisfy your protein requirement as an athlete that don't require meat. I think a lot of people go to meat because it's easy and
Hmm.
it's comfortable. It's what most people think of when they think of, or most athletes think of when they think of protein.
Hmm.
But there are plenty of vegan athletes or plant-based athletes out here who are not protein deficient, who have amazing muscle definition,
Hmm.
great endurance, and aren't lacking in any of their minerals.
Wow.
With so,
Can I just add?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes, please.
Society influences everything,
mhm,
and so that's why they're immediately like protein is steak or chicken. That's what people immediately think of, and just like how in a lot of the movies they show how manly men eat meat. It's just advertisement. It's unfortunate that a lot of people still just immediately think, oh, okay, I need meat. That's protein. That's the only source for protein.
Right.
mhm.
Well, that's where my son is. He's running track and he's varsity football, and so I just wanted to try to swell him up. So the answer for me was put a steak on the boy's plate. I mean, until you know better, right?
Mhm.
Once you know better, you do better. So now I'm learning better, and I would just like to say before we shift conversations to those of you that are just joining the Pastor's Perspective broadcast tonight, we're discussing Eat to Live. But I just want to take a moment, not that anyone is thinking this, but I have two panelists on here that absolutely know what they're talking about, and they have the information to back it up, the study to back it up, and they've put it to you. So not only are they talking about it, they're living it, right? So I want you to really listen closely to the information that they're pouring out tonight, because we want to see you live longer, live healthier without having to take medicines and medications and all of those other things. But DeAndra, you're going to shift me from my next question because I'm trying to watch you guys' time tonight, but the conversation is going so fluid. It's just what it is. You brought something out, and sis down there kind of co-signed it. When you said deli meat is almost like tobacco, that is a pretty strong statement. So teach me something that I did not know, because I love boar's head, smoked turkey breast on brown bread or wheat bread with Miracle Whip and vine ripened tomatoes.
Yeah. So essentially,
Don't laugh at me, Carolyn.
any processed meat.
Okay.
So that can be even your smoked sausage, your I'm sorry. Um, all the meats in the deli section, clearly spam.
Yeah.
That should
I
not be
grew
said,
I grew up on spam and water hose water.
but bologna, all of that. Now, all of that is labeled as like a level 1, number 1 carcinogen. Same thing as, yes, hot dogs. Yes. So, a lot of people I know, they try to give kids hot dogs or something to eat, especially small ages. And then I used to think it was healthy having deli meat. You grew up with Subway on TV showing athletes eating subs and all this. And so that's what advertisement does.
Listen,
For the water.
and if it's the truth, you're on the pastor's perspective. Tell us the truth. We don't, we want the information. I mean, I held my head down because I was coming from Myrtle Beach State, coming back home, and one of my places that I love to stop into Columbia is Rush's, and man, we're calling out so many places, but I go there simply for the hot dog.
Mm.
Simply for the hot dog. So you're pointing out things that now my son, Elder Brandon, he got real specific. He hungry. I'm gonna put you off the broadcast, Elder Brandon. Yeah, I am hungry. But you bring up a lot of good information. I never knew that.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, and I still think that the information has not fully been disseminated quite well.
Hmm.
It's only been probably a couple years that this has been known, like
Hmm.
what, 4 or 5 years or so.
Wow.
But yeah, so the information is still not out there, and clearly Subway still has their athletes,
Eat
being
fresh.
spokesperson. I mean, but then again, you should think McDonald's does too sometimes, and
Right.
they're not eating that stuff. So yeah, it's a lot. It takes a lot of research. One should do their own research to see for themselves, like, oh my goodness, your eyes will definitely be open.
Are there any other places as we get ready to wind down? Because I want to honor your time tonight. You both have your families and work and all of this other stuff, and you're very busy in your career. So I want to honor your time tonight. But are there any other places, websites, movies, links? I know we have another DeAndra that you have given me, and that deals with how to create a store list. If you would take a moment, talk to me about that. But Carol and DeAndra, places or things that you guys would like to share that maybe we could go visit to get more information about what we're talking about tonight. So DeAndra, I'll start with you, and Carolyn, I'll come back to you.
Yeah, so the vegan grocery list, that was one of the first things that I developed with VV Spot. And that's to show that it does not cost a lot of money to be plant-based. A lot of people have that false notion that it's expensive to eat healthy. You can get frozen, make sure you read the back to make sure it doesn't have any additional, things that you don't need in it. But even some canned items, make sure you rinse it off really well to get all that sodium out. But yeah, Aldi, Trader Joe's, those are some great places to find a lot of good tasting plant-based items. And then even, you can find quite a lot of things at Walmart. That's
Wow.
where I get my Just Egg from, and so that's an egg alternative if someone doesn't know. You can make like omelets and stuff like that. But, it's not expensive at all to be plant-based. It's in fact quite cheaper when you compare, a $2.99 bag of chickpeas. You can get dry chickpeas, a good pound or two, versus a pound or two of chicken, which will be around $10. So when you think about it, especially big picture, you're not having to take medication. You're not having to go to the doctor additional times. So overall, plant-based is, kind of the way to go.
You shut me up before I can make my comment, because I said chicken was the gospel bird, but then you hit me. But then you hit me with going to the doctor. Sis Carolyn, what are your thoughts about that? What would you like to share?
I would just like to share to this day and age, I think most of us have smartphones, right? Like we have access to the internet. Years ago, when people were trying to eat plant-based diets, they pretty much had to figure it out on their own. They had to go to libraries. We don't have to do that nowadays. We have computers in our hands, most of us.
Right.
So use that. Take the opportunity to invest in yourself and go on to join a social media group to get more information about plant-based eating. Go to websites like YouTube. Go to platforms like Pinterest. I love Pinterest. I have a whole board out on Pinterest that I've created labeled vegan, and those are meals that in their go-to meals. I actually made one tonight, and they're easy meals. I am a person that I hate cooking. I hate spending time in the kitchen. I feel like it's a waste of time. Me personally, I don't really savor food like that. So I'm happy with some tofu and a little bit of broccoli and some couscous
and a honey bun.
No, not so much a honey bun every night. No.
Is honey bun vegan?
I have there's a cinnamon roll place here called Cinnabon, and they make completely vegan. All of their things are vegan. Okay. As a matter of fact, you'll have to ask your daughter, because I sent her one in a care package. So you'll have to ask her what it tastes like. But she didn't share. Yeah, they are amazing. But I say, as far as documentaries, take the opportunity to look at What the Health. If you and don't approach it like you don't want to know. It's important to know these things. There are other documentaries out there. Forks Over Knives is a great one. Earthlings is it's a strong one, but it's definitely something I encourage you to watch. And Hope, What You Eat Matters. That's also another one. But
Game changers for your athletes.
Game changers for your athletes. I think that just came out last year. So that's a fairly new one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but it's amazing as well. And you'll be introduced to these vegan athletes and how they actually get their protein. But yeah, so take advantage of that. Reach out to me. I mean, if you guys are on social media, I mean, I'm sure you can find me as a friend under Kelvin. If not, and you want me to send my information, I'll be more than willing to do that. I don't post a lot on Facebook, but when I post, I am posting information regarding health. So, and if you feel like you need to contact me directly, by all means, contact me.
I
I'm
think
willing to share recipes.
I think because I just got a feeling in my mind that you're going to create a page with this information on there so that people will be able to like that page and connect with you with your recipes and the things that you're doing. So but I'm hoping you guys will hang out for about 5 minutes after we end tonight so we can talk about that. But I just got a feeling you're going to put that together.
Maybe.
I just got that little feeling. So as we get ready to wrap up, and I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you finished?
Yeah, I was finished.
Thank you guys for tonight. I hope you all that are watching on tonight, go ahead and still share it out there so someone can get this information. This will also be posted on my podcast, A Pastor's Perspective, which you can find on Anchor FM, Apple, iTunes, Google, Spotify, any major outlet. Do me a favor, like it, subscribe it, and download to it. We'll update the information as it comes along. And also, I hope you guys will be willing to come back because we need to do a part 2 of this. I'm just really trying to honor your time because I've got a whole bunch of questions in my mind, plus what we talked about that would probably take us another hour, but I don't want to keep you online that long. So thank you guys for being on here tonight. But what I am going to do before I wrap up with my final comments, if you could take a few moments, and if you had to give with preachers, we have what are called 3 points in a poem. So we give our points and then we summarize it. If you all could summarize or had a summary of what you wanted the people to take away tonight or from tonight's discussions, I would love for you all to take a few moments and share that information with everyone. So I think we ended with Carolyn just a moment ago. So we'll start with DeAndra, then we'll end with Carolyn, and then we'll come back to me.
Yeah, sure thing. So first thing that I think I've said several times, stay hydrated. In the morning, first thing you should do, drink some water before you go for your coffee. Okay. And then try to drink at least a glass at each meal. And then of course, in between there too. Next is try to make small changes that'll stick over time. Like we said earlier in our commentary, start off with having your favorite vegetable at each meal or something like that. And then progress from that. And then finally, something I didn't bring up, but try to think of it as like a traffic light or even the good, better, best, think, okay, is this good? Meaning, okay, this right here is a bag of chips that is, only has 3 ingredients. So that'll be good. Better would be, maybe you make your own chips at home. Best would be just having the whole sweet potato, so just try to think of good, better, best with all of your decisions when it comes to food.
That is awesome. And Carolyn, right before you jump in, Miss DeAndra, would you take another moment, please, and let the people know about your brand here in Greenville, South Carolina? I'm also going to post that information there for everyone to see. So go ahead, and if you take a moment and just let us know about VV Spot once again, and then Sis, I'll bring it on to you.
So VV Spot stands for Vegan Vegetarian Spot, and we promote plant-based options all across the upstate via our website, social media. We used to do food tours. Hopefully, post-COVID, we'll be able to return to that. We still do consultations, and we'll soon begin having nutrition counseling itself.
Wow.
But yeah, we're here to help any and everyone in their health goals.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Sis, Carolyn.
Yeah. So my 3 points. My first one would be what I mentioned earlier. Would be find out your why. Why do you want to make this change? Find something that's going to encourage you to sustain that change. Next is it's okay not to be perfect. It's okay if you make a decision today and you say, yeah, I'm going to try this plant-based eating thing, and you decide to go 100 miles per hour into that zone. But a week down the line, you get a craving for a piece of fish. It's
Right.
okay. Just the next day is a new day. So just start over. And finally, have fun. Be
Right.
creative. There are a ton of foods out there that I have still yet to try. International markets are places where you can see all types of foods that are shipped into our country from all over the world that we normally don't see in like a Publix or a Kroger or a Walmart. So take an opportunity to discover new foods and incorporate them into your lifestyle.
Absolutely. Listen, thank you guys again for coming on to A Pastor's Perspective again tonight. To those of you that are watching, I hope you really sat down and listened to this information that DeAndra and Carolyn brought to the table. You got tons of information. You got websites. You got links you can go to check the stuff out. If you're a Netflix person, we provided information on what types of movies you can watch. DeAndra provided her information. Carolyn's information is available. She's also going to be doing some other things in the near future so that you can connect with her. They're not just talking about this stuff. They've made it a lifestyle. And you can look at them online, you see them in person, and you can tell they're walking out what they believe. So to you two, thank you again for coming on the show tonight. Thank you, everybody that tuned in for the podcast/vlog on tonight. I hope it was a blessing to you. Please join me next week when my special guest will be Bishop Vance Dash from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We'll be having a discussion on deliverance. I'll have that posted here momentarily. If you two would allow me to put you in the green room for just 3 minutes and 57 seconds to debrief, I'm going to post my outro, which is from one of my sponsors, Levana Check, one of my favorite videos titled Love. Take a few moments, watch this and enjoy this. And as always, from Pastor Kelvin and Lady Nicole, peace abide.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's all about love. Allow me to reintroduce myself.
Live on a check with a fresh life. Yeah, I say goodbye to a stress life. And we can ride, just right. No one is perfect, but it's worth it if we try. I mean, blemish on a blemish. Cooking and I ain't finished. Back and forth like it's tennis. All of us need forgiveness. No wonder some of us were doing bottle like we had tennis. And those who be feeling low be getting higher than the ceiling. But we know that feeling of real love that follow the feeling of real hug. The real hugs that come from a person who feels love. You feel love when you are a person who gives love. So
This love I got, cool, alive. All love flowing, dripping, full stop.
So we
Everything right back like I gave it. Stay right back like everything right back like I gave it. Stay right back like.
stop worrying about the if, ands, or maybe. Hey, get on your mashed potato all gravy. Hey, somebody always talking, they be hating. Yeah, but naysayers are not the ones that pay me. Hey, I heard that hallelujah and I felt you in agreement. Cause they only hallelujah when they feeling kinda needy. They ain't thirsty, they just greedy. I digress, yeah, I'ma leave it. Cause we all be full of pride, man, we all need more of Jesus. But we know that feeling of real love that follow the feeling of real hug. The real hugs that come from a person who feels love. Feel love when you are a person who gives love. So
This love I got, cool, alive. All love flowing, dripping, full stop.
So we
Everything right back like I gave it. Stay right back like everything right back like I gave it. Stay right back like.
keep it on a posse. We don't do the bad, this for everybody. Love Hills on a hashtag. Sorry, not sorry. Them haters gon' be mad, man. Come over to our RV. Yeah, this the promised land, man. You know I'm from New Orleans, and this is how we do it. And we do it, and we do it, and we like the way we do it. L to the U, U to the B, 1 to the 5, LJSPD. I'm just playing, man. Y'all just playing, but I love y'all. LUV. Yeah.
This love I got.